You're listening to the Travis Makes Money podcast presented by GoHighLevel.com. For a free 30-day trial of the best all-in-one digital marketing software tool on the planet, just go to GoHighLevel.com/Travis. What's up, moneymakers? Welcome back to the Travis Makes Money podcast. Today, I'm giving you a sneak peek of this week's episode of my main show, Travis Makes Friends, a podcast all about the most valuable asset that we have in our lives, our relationships. So whether we're talking about your network, your marriage, your friendships, or even your relationship with yourself, these conversations are designed to help you grow, connect, and level up in all areas. I've sat down in person with everyone from world-class athletes and entertainers to best-selling authors, entrepreneurs, and even former presidents. And you're going to love the snippet from this week's episode. So take a listen, and if you're feeling it, go check out the full conversation over on Travis Makes Friends. Let's get into it.
When we have a problem, we tend to focus on another thing that's going well instead of the problem. That's the severance.
I give consent to sever my memories between my work life and my personal life.
Would you feel bad if you had a clone of yourself and you made it do all the things that you don't like to do?
You would have to.
There's a movie called The Substance. This is a little tangent. Have you heard of this movie?
No.
Basically, you somehow give birth to this younger version of yourself.
Okay.
And you have to switch every 2 weeks or something.
You can't escape from yourself.
There's rules to The Substance, like, remember, you're the same person. But of course, that's the first thing they throw out. They're like, I don't care about that person.
Yeah. If you're a really, really good actor, you gotta have at least a screw loose. I think that's a lot of what happened with like Heath Ledger.
Oh, interesting.
Well, hello, beautiful.
I never talk about TV or movies, so this is a kind of a funny conversation. But there's another movie called Another Earth.
Yeah, on the juice thing, man. I feel like at some point it just dawned on me that like drinking one glass of like 8 to 10 ounces of orange juice or whatever was like the equivalent to eating like 23 oranges.
Oh, is
you
it
know what
really?
I mean?
That's
it's
a
like
lot.
it's
That's
a lot.
crazy.
I don't know exactly what the number is, but we're not supposed to eat that much. You know what I mean?
No.
Like,
A normal hunter gatherer would be like after 2-3 oranges is like I'm tapping out, man. I'm full.
No more
the
oranges,
fiber.
please.
Right. That's the thing is like once you start learning about nutrition, like fiber is what makes you feel full when it comes to fruit, and if you take that out and you're just drinking the juice, you're basically a hummingbird that's consuming 500 times.
You're mainlining fructose into your bloodstream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like, did you ever do one of those continuous glucose monitors? Have you tried one of these?
No, I
they're
haven't,
not. Honestly, they're not worth doing. Because you can't really do anything with the information, and all your diabetic friends will just laugh at you for using a thing that they have to use. They're like, "So you're sticking needles in yourself now for fun? Why?"
Just because.
But you'll be surprised if you ever do about how your blood sugar spikes when you think like, "Okay, I eat an orange, it spikes." You can eat sushi and it'll spike, and a lot of you can't really do too much about it. You can like add protein in your diet or whatever. But the whole point is when I drank juice, it immediately went into the red zone.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter because you can get the same kind of information from logging it in an app like Macro Factor or MyFitnessPal, and it'll show you, oh, this is all carbs.
This is probably what's
sugar.
happening to your blood sugar.
Yeah,
right now.
it's pretty nuts. Like, the thing that really changed my life was weighing. My friend told me to weigh my food, and I was like, I'm never going to do that because it's a huge pain in the ass. And there's no way I'm going to do it. Like, imagine weighing everything you eat and then putting it into an app. Right. He goes, try it for 2 days. And you'll learn a ton about food. And then if you want to keep going, do it for 2 weeks. You will totally change the way you look at food. And I was like, all right, I can do it for 2 days.
Yeah.
So I did it for 2 days, and I was like, this is fascinating.
Game
I had
changer.
no idea how much protein was in stuff, fat was in stuff, carbs was in stuff. I thought, this is a normal portion of food.
Right.
No, this is what you're supposed to eat.
This is an American
for like
portion of
the
food.
whole day's worth of eggs. And or you're like, oh, it's just a little hash browns at a restaurant, 300 calories.
Exactly.
And you're like, what? So once I did that, I went for the 2 weeks, and then I've been weighing my food for years, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, now I have like preset meals.
Well, and now it's easier to eye it. And you can get much closer than if you've never done it before. I did it for about 2 months.
Yeah,
it was right around the time where I was like, all right, enough's enough. I was doing the yo-yo thing, up and down, up and down, up and down.
See.
And I was just like, I gotta stop that. Like the yo-yo has to be within a healthy range.
Was it your weight that was doing the yo-yo?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. What kind of range are we talking about?
So I don't know if you remember this, bro, because we met.
You do look like you lost weight, but I didn't want to say anything. Like,
yeah, you look great too, man.
Out of nowhere, I've lost a ton of weight.
You look like you put
actually.
on some muscle too.
I did. I lost 40 pounds of fat.
Damn.
Since I saw you.
Well done.
Or probably since I saw you last.
Yeah.
And then I put on 20. It's hard to gauge when you're losing in. I probably put on 20 to 25 pounds of muscle in the last I mean, I'm 45, so it lasts like 3 years. Yeah. It's just not that fast.
So you've legit gone from like 26% body fat to like
38% body
38.
Fat. Yeah.
Wow.
Because I found a DEXA scan from when I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I was with my wife who was like skinny and hot, and I'm like, was I fat back then? She's like, I don't really remember you being fat, but you weren't thin. And then I looked at the DEXA scan and I was like, 192, 38.7% body fat.
Well,
That's fat as
the
hell.
data
Sorry.
says.
Yeah. The numbers are not, they're not too promising. Yeah. And so now I'm like 164.
Okay.
So I've basically lost almost 30 pounds, period.
Yeah.
But I lost 40 pounds of fat, put on about 20 pounds of muscle. Maybe even, those numbers might even be different now. I might have lost like 50 pounds of fat by now.
The body composition is what's more important than the weight number.
But I never in my life could see abdominal muscles.
Yeah.
And at age 45, I finally have the body I wanted when I was 20.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Damn it.
When you were in the pickup game.
That's right. Yeah. When I actually needed to look good to attract women, I was hopeless. Now that I'm not allowed to.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite easy.
Yeah, dude. I don't because we met like 20. It was like right after I started my show, so it's easier for me to remember. 2017, I would say, in Australia.
Was it? Yeah. Wow. Was that late? I guess it was. I remember we hung out in Australia with your wife.
Yeah, so 2017 was the first year, and then I came back the next year as a speaker. So I went as just an attendee in 17.
That's right.
To hang out and meet people, because I was on like 3 months into my show.
That was a hell of a flight. I can't even do those anymore.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it was insane.
I have kids now. That's why.
Yeah, that's
I can't do anything now, actually, because I have kids. It's not the flight.
2 now, right?
Yeah. 5 and 3.
5 and 3, right about the same as ours.
It's pretty. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's right. It's really, having kids is pretty interesting too, because it changes the way, of course, you think. People say like, oh, you have no time, or I don't know. Actually, I started to. This probably makes sense only to dads. I started to care about myself more.
Yes.
Because I realized I don't want to set a crap example. I don't want to die early, first of all. Right. Most of us are not in any more danger of that. But like 38% body fat, you're taking some time off the end, probably. Good time anyway.
For sure you are.
Joints are not
as far as health span goes, as it relates to lifespan.
Yeah. My real wake-up call, I've said this on my own show, but I don't think anywhere else. My real wake-up call was my son Jaden, who's now 5. When he was 2, we were living with my brother-in-law because we were building a house next door. And he has this little like train that you can ride, and it makes noise, and it's got a dial pad, and you can make noise. It's a really popular kid's toy from this brand VTech or whatever. We have all this stuff. And he would always be like, "Daddy, push me." And I would push him, and I would get kind of winded. And I remember being on my knees on the floor and getting up and being like, and my wife's like, "Oh, those are some dad sounds," because I was grunting.
Totally.
And I was like, okay, I can stop grunting, but it's still actually hard to get off the floor.
The grunt was necessary.
It was,
to get me up off the floor.
Yeah, like it's not like, I'm getting off the chair. That's fake, right? Dad's just like doing that. This was like, oh, wait, I got to like move this leg over here manually. And so
no mobility, no flexibility.
None. And right about that time, COVID hit. And my friend Curtis, who used to run this huge chain of gyms in Canada, he called me in a panic, and he's like, yo, we can't open our gyms. I'm calling all my business-minded friends because I need ideas. Because I was like, well, I can't help you pay your rent on 28 properties. Like, what are you going to do? He's like, I'm less worried about that than I am about my staff all having to leave, because once COVID's back, I need to rehire enough people to run the business. And retrain them. Yeah, good point. So he's like, I need any idea on how to keep my staff busy. And I was like, what about having all of the ones that are qualified do online training? Because the trainers are actually the hardest people to hire. You can hire a front door guy.
Sure,
that's no problem. So he was like, that's a good idea. Chatted for a while, hung up the phone. Like 3-4 months later, he's like, by the way, we set up that online training thing that you came up with, and we've done, I can't remember, it's like 3,000 hours of training. And I was like, oh, I actually had a good idea. Like that feels good.
Here's a gift card to Outback Steakhouse.
Yeah, and he's like, "How are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's funny you should call, because I just realized it took me 30 seconds to get up off the floor because I'm old now." And he's like, "What do you weigh?" And I was like, "I don't know, 190 or something." And he's like, "Okay, how tall are you again?" I'm like, 5'10" with my shoes on. And he's like, yeah, why don't you use one of my online trainers? And I was like, nah, I'm good. And he's like, doesn't sound like it. And I was like, all right, fair. What about once a week? I'll do a trainer. He's like, how's twice a week? And then eventually 3 times, because that's how you actually get in shape. And I was like, I can't say no because it was my idea and he's offering me a gift and it's kind of a dick move if I turn him down. So I was like, fine, thinking I'll do it for like 2 weeks and then I'll be like, I'm busy.
Yeah.
I did it for a couple weeks and I was like, this is really hard, but I feel better already.
Yeah.
He hooked me up with a trainer for a long time. I probably shouldn't say exactly how long because I don't want people to ask him for the same thing, but a long time. And it was absolutely life-changing because I went from not being able to get up off the floor to being one of the fittest adults that I know that's not an ex-pro athlete
right.
at age 45.
I like the idea of being like an entrepreneurial athlete where it's like you just feel better. Not just energy levels, even affected like my confidence in the way that I approach conversations and talk to people. It bleeds into every area. Like, it's so funny, man, because like we spend so much time focusing on, certain areas at certain times of life.
Yeah.
You're focused on money, or you're focused on health, or you're focused on family. Mm-hmm. And we like to think that we can extract this one area from these other areas, and it's really not possible. Like, we're holistic beings by nature. This area is going to affect it. If you got bad family life, it makes it more difficult to stay on top of your health. If you have bad health, it makes your money more difficult. Like,
there are extremes where people have only their business working and their family life and their health are falling apart.
Yeah.
Or some version thereof. There are people who manage those extremes, but usually we hear about them because of their catastrophic downfall.
Yes.
At one time, so they'll have their $200 million exit or whatever, and then you find out that like their kids don't talk to them anymore. They have no relation. They are divorced, and also they have like some sort of heart issue from eating Chipotle, or probably not Chipotle.
Yeah.
This episode is not sponsored by Chipotle. From eating McDonald's every day and trying to, or they work out like a beast and they have their business going, but the relationship with their wife is like non-existent.
Right.
I just see that a lot when I start talking to guys, and mostly guys who share this stuff. And guys, it is mostly guys who go into an extreme thing. Like, if we have an uncomfortable situation, a lot of us, and again, especially men, but could also be my sample size, when we have a problem, we tend to focus on another thing that's going well instead of the problem. So it's like, yeah, my wife and I aren't getting along, or she's hitting perimenopause, or whatever it is, depending on your age. You're like, oh, I could go to therapy for that. Or I could work out for 3 hours a day and really double down on my business.
Bury my head somewhere else and pretend it doesn't exist.
Exactly. Take a lot of business trips, work 7 days a week, and then tell myself I'm doing it for my family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just talked about that with a buddy the other day. I think it was probably on the show. And we're talking about that. Like, you start selling yourself the story that it's for everybody else.
Yes.
I'm doing this for my kids. Like, what are you talking about? I don't love my kids, or I don't, It's like, well, but your kids don't care.
They don't care.
They just want to spend some time with you.
Yeah, they don't care. My kids do not. They do not care. I told them in the simplest of terms. I was like, if you guys want new toys, Daddy has to work. And they were like, we just play. We already have Legos.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a really fair argument. Yeah, like, I know you're gonna want more later, but he's like
college.
Yeah. But also, they're not wrong. The simple argument is that they have is actually quite correct. Like, in that moment, they don't need anything else. They just need their dad.
Yeah.
But it's really easy for me to be like, well, if you guys, and if you take it, you're really, it becomes harder to argue with yourself, because you go, well, if you want to go to college, well, actually, that's kind of handled by now. Well, if you want a down payment on a house, well, I'll probably have that and it'll be fine. If you want me to die and leave you with enough money to buy a really nice boat, you're going to let me go to work right now. And it's like, okay, well, they don't care about that.
Yeah. I've tried to really position it more as like, work is a good thing, and it's good. Like mom and dad like to work because we like to do things and we like to be productive, and we like to contribute to society. And trying to instill in them that it's like, this is far more of like a happiness, meaning, fulfillment play than it is like just a financial gain play. Although that is obviously a big part of it.
Sure.
Because like I said, at the end of the day, they don't care. We've been trying to, like, my son's turning 6 next week, and we've now made more of a conscious decision to stop buying things, like stop buying more toys and presents and stuff, and start taking him on trips and doing more like experience things and memories.
That's
and
what all
like
the data shows, right? The data shows that people who spend money on experiences, this is for adults, but people who spend money on experiences are far happier than people who spend money on material items.
Yeah.
And the happiness lasts longer.
Yes.
If it's true for adults, it's almost certainly true for kids, as long as they're of enough age. Well, I was going to say as long as they're old enough to remember something, but I'm not even sure it matters. I think young kids who aren't going to remember Disneyland probably still get some effect of that, even if it's lost by the time they're 10 or 12.
The
and they can't
formation of their
remember anymore.
brain, you know, there's stuff that's like biologically hardwired into them that happens at a young age that you don't really, even if they can't remember it.
That's right. I mean? And plus, Disneyland and stuff like that it's always for the parents to see their kids freak out with happiness.
Yeah.
But you're right. We took our kids to Taiwan and China a couple weeks ago, which is the flight sucks, obviously.
No kidding.
They're 20 minutes in, we haven't even taken off yet. And Jaden's like, are we almost there? And I'm like, we're taxiing to the part where we take off. I have bad news for you, my man.
Yeah, in about 12 hours.
13 more hours if we're lucky. Right. And then we're on this ground in another place waiting to get off this stinky aluminum tube. Yeah, it's but once we got there, and I mean, jet lag was horrific, but they're going out, they're hearing Chinese everywhere because people who don't know, my wife speaks Chinese as well. So it's like they're in this totally different environment, and they really like it. And it's like, all right, are they going to remember every element of this? Maybe not.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter. There's something that happens, I think, in their brain where even if they don't, again, not science, but I can only imagine that even if they don't remember the specific trip to Taiwan, they remember pleasant things about the family and feeling loved and things like that. Yeah, more than they would feel if they were at home watching an iPad while I'm in my office.
Well, I think that it primes them to make better decisions as adults. Because I noticed I kind of got in that trap as a young adult where like I wanted the next thing. I needed the next iPhone. I needed the next iPad.
Oh, interesting.
The new thing that came out, I wanted that thing, and it gave me some sort of sense of satisfaction, maybe status, or I don't know what it would have been.
Sure.
But it made me feel a certain way, and I was always looking for things. And eventually, I got to the point where I was like, it's not really about the chase for things. It's really just about the ability to put myself in a position where I could afford whatever I do actually really want.
Yeah.
But I don't actually really want all of these things. It's more of a matter of like I want a rich and like happy life.
Yeah.
And rich, it doesn't necessarily mean materialistically rich. It just means full of things. And like if you don't have, like, what are we minus memories? Like if you wipe your memory, who are you?
Yeah, that's a really interesting. It's funny. I talked about that at my show with Dr. David Eagleman. Do you know who he is?
No.
He's a neuroscientist at Stanford, and I asked him if we would ever be able to upload our memory to the internet. And there's all these kind of philosophical questions that I didn't expect to happen. For example, if you upload the contents of your brain to the internet, which one is you?
Right.
And if you unplug that one from the internet, are you killing a version of yourself? Kind of, because but is memory consciousness or not?
Right.
So it really gets into this whole thing. And then also, like, what happens since your brain is constantly adapting and making new memories and doing its own thing. So then if you upload your memory to the internet yesterday, you're technically a different person today, right?
Yeah,
you woke up, you worked out, you had some different food, you had a different conversation with your kids, with your wife, you listened to a different podcast. The internet version of you is frozen in time yesterday or is doing something in virtual reality, whatever.
It started its own divergent life path.
A timeline, yeah. Right. So, like, then what happens? Like, maybe you're old, your body's old, and you want to live forever in virtual reality on the internet. So you upload yourself, then someone kills your body.
Right.
Okay, well, that's not probably legal, but let's say that it is. So you just murdered yourself, and now there's this version of you, but it's not the same you. So like, there's so many different. He argues it in a much more eloquent way on my show because he's like, this is a bad idea for all these different reasons, but we have to like handle this legally and ethically because theoretically, if I'm really old and I'm in chronic pain, I kind of want to upload my good memories to the internet and maybe the bad ones, and then I just don't remember the pain anymore. I don't have it anymore. But then I got to get rid of this meat suit. Right. It's in bad shape, right? I've got, let's say I have cancer all over my body and I've got chronic pain everywhere. Maybe I'm over the meat suit thing. Right. But you have to wrap your mind around the fact that you are now dead. But you're not dead because your brain's over there. I don't know. It's just really hard to think about.
At some point, you might be willing to take the risk. Is the point. Like right now, I'm not willing to take the risk. But at some point, like you said, maybe I would be willing to take that risk.
One thing he said that was super interesting. This is off topic, but whatever. One thing he said that was super interesting was on the internet and online, you can speed up time and slow time down because time in our brain is just like this weird way of measuring things. It's not a real thing. Time is not apparently like a real thing. And I guess people who are really good at math can prove that somehow.
Sure.
So if you just uploaded your brain, your consciousness, memories, whatever it was, to a computer, you could slow down time or you could speed it up. So you could live for the next billion years in the happiest moments of your life, and you wouldn't have your receptors wouldn't degrade from serotonin or whatever.
Yeah.
It wouldn't. None of those things exist. Those problems, right? Because that's like a mechanical brain problem. Or you could speed up time, or you could pause and you could say like, "Oh, wake me up in 3,000 years. I want to see what the future's like." Yeah, and it would just be like that.
Yeah, right, exactly. You would lose consciousness,
Right.
and then the next thing you remember is gaining consciousness.
Yeah.
Have you seen Severance?
No, what is that?
Dude, it's such a good show. It's Adam Scott, who's the guy from Parks and Rec.
I see. Yeah.
He's in a bunch of comedy movies. This is kind of like his first bigger like drama role. And it's actually kind of funny because he's like the main guy. He's traditionally a comedy guy, and then Ben Stiller is the director, who's also traditionally a comedy guy. But then like they put this whole show together. It's on Apple TV Plus. There's 2 seasons out. I became an addict recently, but it's basically the whole premise is they opt in for this procedure where they can split their brain, and as soon as they come down the elevator at work, it makes them a different person.
So that's the severance.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the severance is they have zero. So when they're at work, they have zero memory of anything other than work. And then once they leave work, they have no memory of anything that happened at work. So it's this theoretical, existence. Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes, only sometimes.
It's this theoretical existence of like once this new person is born, that's day one for that person, and all they know is being at work. So like when they gain consciousness, it's when the elevator doors open. And when they lose consciousness is when the elevator doors close. So all they ever know is an existence that fits in those walls at the work. And then all the other person knows is everything that's happening in the personal life.
Isn't the work person kind of annoyed that they have no life outside of work?
That
That's
becomes
part of
like a lot of the whole premise of the show is basically like the ethical, so there's people protesting this company because they have severed workers, and the severed workers are looked at as almost like
slaves.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're a work slave, and so they can put in requests to resign, and then their outer person gets to decide whether or not that resignation will be accepted.
Oh man!
So they're literally just trapped by by the decisions of the person who's on the outside, because they're the actual person, and the person on the inside isn't a real person. So it's really fascinating.
Would you feel bad if you had a clone of yourself and you made it do all the things that you don't like to do?
That's you would have to.
You'd have
right?
to feel
You would
bad.
have to feel bad.
I would feel bad, and I think I would feel just as bad as if I had an actual slave and I made them do unpleasant things. Like I'd be like, this is just not right. I can't do this.
But the theoretical part of it is like you don't know what they're doing, so you can give yourself the excuse of like, maybe it's good.
Maybe
you
they're having
have
a
to
great time
believe
at
that the
work.
company's exactly. So
That's
the
dark.
company's showing you pictures of your inner person smiling and having fun and being like, here's what you know what I mean? So they're trying to convince you, obviously there's, if a company's trying to get you to erase your memory, there's obviously things going on awry inside of the company that you're not supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really fascinating thought experiment. And like more things come up as the show goes along. You're like, I didn't even think about that. Like that would be, that's crazy. That's true.
Smart.
That's what it would be.
That's really smart. There's a movie called The Substance. This is a little tangent. Have you heard of this movie?
No.
It's pretty gross, but like on that same token, I think it's Demi Moore. She's like a workout celebrity on TV, and she's getting a little older. And the producer, Dennis Quaid, is like, oh, she's lost her mojo. What is she, 55 now? Nobody wants to see that, or something like that. And she's having like this severe midlife crisis, I guess you would say, identity crisis. And then she finds out about this stuff called The Substance, and what it is it's gross because it's like a dark horror movie or whatever, but basically you somehow give birth to this clone, not clone, but like a younger version of yourself.
Okay.
And you have to, it's also you. So you have to switch every 2 weeks or something. And if you don't, then the person who is in sleep mode, they start to age like times 10 or something. For you, because they're on borrowed time, and the substance lets you switch but you have to be living these two lives and one person has to disappear. So she does this, and the young version of herself applies for her replacement, and she's like this young fitness star, and she's dating celebrities, and everyone loves her. And then she's like, I'm not going to let the old lady get back in charge again. So she stops doing the switch thing that you're supposed to do, and it of course all devolves from there and turns out really disgusting. But it reminded me of that because it's like there's rules to the substance. Like, remember, you're the same person, but of course that's the first thing they throw out. They're like, I don't care about that person.
Yeah, right.
And they just spend that person's
Why would I want to be
life.
the old version of me at all, ever?
Right.
This is better.
So they and of course it ends in some sort of crazy final clash.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool thought experiment because you think like, oh, I would clone myself and make my clone do all this stuff that I don't like, and then you realize like it's still you.
That's basically just slave labor of myself.
Yeah.
Well, in the show, one of the more like powerful people, his wife gets pregnant and she severs herself to have the baby.
Oh no!
To go through childbirth without the memory of the pain of childbirth.
That's kind of sad though, right? That part
is. Yeah, but that becomes this big old thing, and there's protesters outside of the building all the time, trying to prevent severed workers from happening.
The key here is to not have large elements of your life that you despise so much that you would actually want someone else to do it for you.
Well, that's kind of basically
that's the point of the show, right?
The guy in the show just lost his wife and doesn't want to think about it, so he volunteers to be a severed
sympathetic,
worker.
That's a sympathetic character,
right?
So there you go. That's smart. Otherwise, it's like, oh, this is really clear. You shouldn't be doing this. But it's like, well, there's another. I never talk about TV or movies, so this is a kind of a funny conversation. But there's another movie called Another Earth, and what it is they find another Earth somewhere. It's approaching our planet, and it's like everyone's talking about it in the news, and they can see. Oops, I hit the mic. And they can see with telescopes or whatever that Earth has clones of all of us, and they're just living their lives on a parallel timeline. Well, this girl, there's a contest where they're going to send someone to that planet, and if they win, and they're going to get to go like meet their clone on that planet or whatever. This girl, I think she gets like drunk and drives, kills this guy's family, and he's miserable because he lost his wife and kids. And then she wins the contest, and she decides to give him the opportunity to go to the other Earth and basically reunite with his family. And I won't spoil it, but of course that doesn't work out perfectly in that particular way. And the ending is like really a surprise. But I thought that was a genius. It's all these sort of genius thought experiment things really work well. They're very entertaining because they get me thinking about things like this. And to your point, I've thought about like, oh, I wish I could clone myself and then I would be able to do all this other stuff. And then I realized, oh, maybe I shouldn't have all these things in my life that I hate so much that I want to literally clone myself and enslave myself so that I never have to do those things again.
Yeah, you want the easy button for all the things that you hate doing.
It's that Adam Sandler movie where he has the Bed Bath & Beyond remote where he can fast forward through things.
Click.
Wow, good memory.
Yeah.
And he fast forwards through all these events in his family's life and like the sex he doesn't feel like having and all this stuff. And then the remote learns and it automatically fast forwards through all that. And he realizes he's missing his life because the hard things and the tough things are an integral part of your life. Yeah. You never thought you'd get like a deep lesson out of an
From
Adam Sandler movie. Yeah.
Let's go Happy Gilmore. What's
Yeah, exactly. Oh, the other day when I was in LA, this is last week, I was in LA. I was at Sugarfish, which is like my favorite sushi spot.
Oh yeah, it's fire.
So good. And I'm like I'm in the corner and I'm listening to an audiobook and I'm staring off into the distance and I see this guy with like a bright shirt on, crazy shirt. And I'm just sort of like listening to an audiobook, staring off. Yeah. And then I noticed that guy looks up and he stares back at me and he's kind of annoyed. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely just like annoyingly staring at this guy talking to his daughter. Daughter gets up, goes to the bathroom. Guy's still staring at me, and I'm like really kind of awkwardly like looking down now. And I'm like, don't look over there because he's going to think you're looking at him. And then I noticed he got out his phone and looked down. I could see out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, is he still staring at me? So I look up and I realize it's Adam Sandler. And he probably thought, oh, this a-hole is going to come up to me and bug me while I'm with my daughter, and I'm going to stare him down and give him the death stare that's like, don't even think about it.
Yeah.
And I look over there, and he's like texting or something, and then I'm like, is that Adam Sandler? And his daughter comes back, and you know how he's got that trademark high-pitched voice?
Yeah.
He says something to her, and I was like, holy shit, that's your real voice? I didn't think that was his real voice. I thought he was always faking that voice, but it's not fake.
That's who he is.
Yeah. And then I was, of course, the whole meal consciously like looking at my phone,
of course,
and not because I'm like, I don't want to be that guy who's annoying.
Adam, come on my podcast.
Yeah, come on my podcast, man. Did you get my email?